Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We've got a pretty jam-packed video for you today. We're going to talk all about what's happening in the housing market. First, we'll take a look at how much buyer demand we've been seeing in the market. Then we'll take a close look at interest rates. We'll also look at how many homes have been coming on the market in the last few months. And lastly, we'll talk about home values and where the housing market might be headed in the upcoming months. Keep in mind that at the time of filming this video, interest rates are going up incredibly fast, and we really are in the middle of a housing market shift. The housing market currently is becoming a little bit less of a seller's market and a little bit more of a buyer's market. That's not to say that we are in a buyer's market by any means, but it's more and more common in the last few weeks to see homes on the market for 7, 14, 21 days. And this is because there are less buyers in the market because of how much interest rates have been going up lately. If you're thinking about selling a home soon, right now is the best time to do it. Home values are going to start decreasing a little bit in the upcoming months, maybe to the end of the year. And then if you're thinking about buying a home, it's a great time to lock your interest rate because interest rates are going up very fast. So let's get into this video and go over specifically some of the numbers that we've been seeing in the last few months. In all of Metro Atlanta, the average days a home was on the market before accepting an offer has been decreasing each month for the last few months. In February of this year, average days on market was 7, then in March it was 6, and last month the average days on market was 5. As you might imagine, the more demand there is for homes, the less amount of days a home typically stays on the market. Now, it's super common for days on market to decrease like that during the spring because that's when most people are looking to buy and sell a home. But what has been absolutely crazy about this year is that the demand has been higher than ever before in the last few months. However, keep in mind that this very fast rise in interest rates could very well mean that the average days on market is going to increase in May. So we may go from 5 average days on market in April to maybe 7 or 8 in May. As interest rates are going up, there's going to be a little bit less demand for homes and less people wanting to buy a home, so less competition. Another helpful number that we can use to measure the amount of demand in the housing market is the percent of sold price over list price. When the amount of demand for homes is equal to the amount of homes available to buy, we usually see homes being sold for around the same price as they're listed. And when the demand for homes is super low, the sold price can sometimes be lower than the list price or the asking price. But as we all know, demand for homes has been super high, so it's very common in the last few months for homes to sell above the list price. In February of this year, the average sold price was about 1% above the list price. And then in March, that went up to 2%. And last month, the average sold price was 3% above the list price. Now, keep in mind that this takes into consideration all the homes, the move-in ready homes, the fixer-uppers, even the homes that are falling apart that an investor is buying. So when we only look at homes that are move-in ready, that number is much closer to like 10%. And as we're going forward and there's going to be less demand in the upcoming months, that number may decrease to somewhere between 5 and 10% for the month of May. As everyone knows, interest rates have been going up so fast, but why? What determines the interest rate for a mortgage? Mortgage lenders determine interest rates based on the prime interest rate, which is set by the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve regularly changes the prime interest rate to help the economy in our country, to try to slow down the amount of inflation that we've been seeing all over the country. The Federal Reserve has been raising the prime interest rate sharply for the last couple months, which has in turn raised the mortgage interest rates. At the end of February, mortgage rates were at about 4.0 for a 30-year fixed rate loan. By the end of March, it was about 4.8%, and by the end of last month, interest rates reached about 5.4%. At the time of writing this video just a couple days ago, interest rates were at about 5.3, 5.4. As I'm filming this video Friday, May 6th, interest rates have gone up to 5.6, maybe even 5.7. The Federal Reserve has raised the prime interest rate another 0.5%, so interest rates are going up very fast. Some other quick numbers for you. For a 15-year fixed rate mortgage, rates were at 3.3% at the end of February, 4.1% at the end of March, and 4.7% at the end of last month. This rise in interest rates means that many people who could qualify for a mortgage just a couple months ago, and maybe they were like right there on the line for being able to qualify, can no longer obtain a mortgage. And as rates increase, even less people will be able to qualify. In turn, there will be less competition in the market, and we may see more people putting their homes on the market this month in May to try to take advantage of the high home values before they start to level out or dip down. Okay, let's talk about home values. Where have they been in the last few months, and where are home values headed in the upcoming months? In all of Metro Atlanta, February saw 3,199 homes sold, and then in March, there were 4,065 homes sold. And surprisingly, in April, there were less homes sold than the previous month, around 3,900. I believe this is due to the shock in many people from the interest rates having gone up so fast. And if I could see the future, which I definitely can't do, I would guess that there's going to be more people listing their homes on the market this month than in March. Again, trying to take advantage of these high home values before they start going down. Also in February, the average sold price for Metro Atlanta was $388,000. In March, it was $400,000, and in April, $415,000. Again, home values are still increasing, but we're going to see a slowdown in that, and they're going to level off or maybe even start dipping down. Overall, for the Metro Atlanta area as a whole, that's an increase of 7% in home values in the last 3 months. In Cobb County, average home values also increased from $402,000 in February to $415,000 in March, and then $430,000 in April. For Cobb County, that's an increase of 7% in home values over the last 3 months. And in Gwinnett County, $398,000 in February, $405,000 in March, and then $420,000 in April. For Gwinnett County, that's a 5.5% increase in home values over the last 3 months. For the last few years, real estate agents have been saying that there isn't enough inventory of homes for sale for the amount of people who are trying to buy. And that is certainly still the case. Buyer demand has been at an all-time high in the last few months, and inventory continues to stay low. One thing that's holding many people back from listing their home is that they are concerned about being able to buy a new home once their home is sold, and rightfully so. It's certainly a difficult process. One thing that we do for our clients is try to get temporary occupancy after the home is sold. What that means is we'll try to get the buyer to allow the seller to live in their home after closing to give them time to find a new home without feeling rushed. Many times the buyer will allow the seller 6 to even 8 weeks of living in the home while they look for their next home. As more and more sellers are given this kind of temporary occupancy, sellers are starting to feel a little more comfortable with listing their home for sale. In February, Metro Atlanta saw 3,995 homes listed for sale. In March, that shot up to 5,093 homes, and in April, it was around 5,000. Again, the shock of interest certainly has prevented many people from listing, but again, I believe we'll be seeing a significant increase of homes listed for sale in May. In Cobb County, there were 660 new listings in February. In March, there were 924, and in April, there were 962. Hey, if you're thinking about moving to Atlanta or you just want to know what it's like to live here, feel free to call or text me anytime. Thank you so much to everyone who has reached out. My favorite thing to do in the world is help people get acquainted with my hometown.